It's not here? Okay, so I'll stretch this out as long as necessary or as short as necessary. So
probably stretch it.
okay. Well, this one, so this is the section. So the last two, so I appreciate the questions you guys have asked. Those last two sessions. This one is going to be what you can do as a parent, and I'm going to say it's semi-technical. And what I mean by semi-technical is most of these things I'm going to tell you to do are things that are ways you can navigate with your child and help guide them through the process. And then there's going to be some tools that we will look at, and we're not going. Now, I could spend the full 45 minutes just talking about how to configure the monitoring for Apple or for Android, either one. Like we could spend 45 minutes on Android, we could spend 45 minutes. That's not what we came for. So this is making you aware of what resources are out there and what strategies you can employ. So that's where we're going to go. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask. And then at the end, that's where I think we're going to get into some more questions like, hey, what about and how about and those kinds of things. So, okay. So we talked about a bad kid versus a great kid, and the situation it's their environment and the decisions, right? It's not genetics, it's what they're exposed to and what they participate in. That's the difference between a good kid and a bad kid, is what they're exposed to and what they participate in. The kids themselves, it's just the actions that they're engaged in. And so we talked about that parents have to have the responsibility to protect our children's health all around. So how do we do that? What are some ways to protect your family? And so the first one is delay social media. And this is what I said at the very end there. And I made the comment, and Daniel said, "Did you say?" He wanted. So I will say it clearly: do not let your middle school or younger child have social media. Do not let your child smoke cigarettes. Okay. People aren't surprised if you say, don't let your child smoke cigarettes. I'm telling you, don't let your middle school child get on social media. Now, at what age should a child get on social media? Well, I don't think anybody should ever be on social media, so I'm never going to give it to them. So when they turn 18 and move out of the house, then they got to figure out how to all on their own all at once. Okay, stop. So our job as parents is, now, there's a very clear line. Our job as parents is to prepare our child for the path. We cannot prepare the path for the child. There are parents that do such a job of shielding their children that they never are exposed to anything. They don't know how to deal with it. And then when they're out in the world, then they are shocked and surprised. And let me give you an example of this. And this is probably my favorite example of a parent here. Now, this isn't for this reason, but there was a lady that we worshiped with, and she went to Friedhardman, and she's older than me, so that I just want you to kind of put in time, right? And so she was there, and there was a young man who had just gone to Fried. He was homeschooled. Now, homeschoolers back in the 70s, that's a different crop than what the homeschoolers of today are, okay? And so here, his mother, as a cook, she probably wasn't the best cook, and I don't mean this in a dry, but apparently that she didn't use any seasonings, and her method of cooking was boiling. She just boiled everything, okay? So just imagine the most bland food you've ever had. Now, I don't know how this kid never experienced any other food. So he goes to Fried, and there he is in Gano Hall, whatever. He's about to have himself some French fries and ketchup, and he had not had ketchup before. Which seems like, how can you not have ketchup? I mean, come on, impossibly, right? And so he takes his French fried potato, and he salts it, mind you, which is very, seasoned. And he dips it in this vinegary, sweet, salty mixture with tomatoes, puts it in there, and he tastes it, and he says, "Oh my, this is incredibly hot," he says. Ketchup seemed incredibly spicy to him because he had never been exposed to it. He didn't know how to deal with it. And so we have to make sure that, I'm not saying give them a little bit of bad. That's not the analogy. It's that I need to teach them I need to expose them in a way that they can handle the situation. You're not going to avoid social media for your entire life, so I need to train you on what to think about it, how to think about it, how to interact it, and how to deal with it. Social media is not sinful. Social media is not inherently evil. It just has a lot of dangers associated with it. And so if we teach our children how to use it for evangelistic purposes, if we teach our children how to use it for, it's really good. We use social media sometimes to get the whole church together so we know what's going on, and we use it as a communication tool. So there are some good things to it. But delay social media. No middle schooler or down needs to have any social media. Period, full stop. Now, at which point do they get it? I would say that in high school, I think that you could, but you need to make sure that you're realizing that your children are going to be, as parents, do not give in to peer pressure. Notice I'm talking to the parents. Don't give in to peer pressure. Well, Sally's mom, of course no kid's named Sally anymore. Well, Bailey's mom lets her have social media. Well, wait a minute. Okay, I'm not Bailey's mom. So the thing is, don't be peer pressured into doing or giving things that don't make sense. Now, as your child gets older, they're going to be exposed to these things. Help them navigate it. Help them work through it. Now, and make sure they understand. Like, have you ever, all of us are probably, is there anybody here who's not been on social media? Anyone who has not been on social media? Okay, that's what I thought. Anybody ever encountered on social media anything crude or vulgar ever on social media? Anything inappropriate ever? I mean, we know, yes, the answer is yes, we've seen it. So we just need to make sure that we're watching those things. The second is that we have to guard the heart. That's the goal when we're parenting. We have to guard the heart. And so that's that prepare the child for the path, not the path for the child. Either extreme is bad. If I never let my child ever get exposed to any technology, then I am doing them a disservice. If I throw them to the wolves at a young age where they're not equipped and they don't have it, and I give them no guardrails and I say, here, go ride your bike anywhere inside of New York City and I don't care when you come home, like that's not a good idea. That's a terrible idea. And so it's a terrible idea here. So we need to make sure that when we're trying to help them to guard their heart, to educate them about the online risks, and that they know what those dangers are. Because as I said before, you can never unsee something, ever. You can't. As a child, once you're exposed to it, you've seen it. It's there. So then what we need to do as parents is train them how to deal with exposure to sin. Now, we'll talk, so there's bits and pieces that are kind of all interwoven here. So during Bible class tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit about Joseph. And we'll talk about his experience with Potiphar's wife. But I want you to think just briefly about that situation. Joseph, was he exposed to sin with respect to Potiphar's wife? Was. Was it a temptation? Oh, it was. Okay. Was there pressure there? There was. What did he do? Did he give in to that pressure? He did not. So he knew what his answer was going to be beforehand, and he took the right path out of that situation. And so we need to make sure that we're training our children so when they do see, not if they see, when they do see something inappropriate, that they know how to respond and how to deal with it at an appropriate level for their age. And no 12-year-old has the appropriate level to deal with that situation, period. No 13-year-old. Well, my 13-year-old is very mature. My 13. No, I'm telling you, they don't. Now, as they're approaching adulthood, then their ability to deal with those situations increases, and so we have to work with them. The third point is establishing the right environment. So I mentioned part of this before, but I want to spend a couple minutes on establishing the right environment. We need to make an environment where everyone feels comfortable about sharing what they have seen or been exposed to. If your children feel uncomfortable and they can't talk to you about what they've seen, or they choose not to talk with you about what they've seen, then they don't have the best guide and the person who has their very best interests at heart to help them navigate the situation. If you have created an environment, and you're the one that creates the environment, you're the parent, you're the grandparent. If you create the environment where your child is more afraid of you finding out that they saw something they shouldn't see than they are, hey, I saw this. Hey, this is going on. How do I deal with this? So we have to make that environment such that our children want to interact with us and that we have an open chain of communication with them so we can help them navigate when they do fail. Not if they fail, when they do. Your child will make a mistake, and it will be online. How will you respond? How do you handle that environment? And if your child is terrified of your response, they will not tell you about it, and so you will not be able to help them through this situation. So what you said is, in your time of need, don't come to me. That's not what we want. As we're dealing with them, I mean, we're educating them on. We need to educate them on those online risks and those online dangers. Like I mentioned, like once that picture's out there, it's out there forever. Okay, so how do I deal with that? I talked about is my child afraid that I'm going to blow up? And so if I establish positive expectations, then I set the tone, in essence, is what I'm trying to say. And lastly, when setting the tone, I am modeling healthy social media habits. When my children look at me, am I modeling healthy social media habits? Or am I modeling bad social media habits and then getting onto them for doing what I do myself that I don't like? Man, I'm constantly addicted to this device. Man, I'm constantly on this thing all the time. Get off that phone! Wait a minute, I'm on the phone all the time myself. Am I modeling the appropriate behavior, or am I lashing out because they're exhibiting the very behavior that I don't like in myself? I recognize it as bad, and I recognize it's bad in me, but I'm going to yell at you for it. That's something we have to be cautious about. Number 4, establish positive expectations. So this is what I was talking about. There are legitimate and good uses for social media. There really are. And what I'll tell you is some of these tools can be used in very good ways. I will give you an example. So there is a camp that is not like a Georgia Bible camp, but it's more of a it's a teaching camp. It's and excuse me. And what they do is they've got a bunch of kids staying in dorms, and they're all together. And what they said is they set up Discord, which is a chat platform. And they have all the kids on Discord. So they can all share pictures from the week and as things are going on. And they can also make announcements. It's like a mass communication And these kids stay on this tool and talk with their friends throughout the whole year. And all of these kids are Christians. So they're all talking with fellow Christians or children from good families that are raised with a good moral guideline. And they're all talking on these things and spending time together. Anything wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Staying in contact with Christians, that's what we want to do. And so there is a good use. Establish those positive expectations, the things that they should be putting out there, the things they should be using it for, the ways. And helping them realize that as we sit down and set these positive expectations, so I'm teaching them how to use self-control. Because children lack it entirely. You go look at an infant and tell me, do they have self-control when they're hungry? Or if they're sleepy? Right? They don't have any self-control. Some teenagers don't have self-control when they're hungry or sleepy. Some adults don't have that when they're hungry or sleepy. And then teaching our children about the fruit of the Spirit. When I'm online, does my post exhibit love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control? Is that the case? Because I can tell you when I'm on Facebook, or Face Page as my daughter calls it, if I'm on Facebook, right, that what I see is there are some members of the church that I see out there posting things that are not exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit. And when I see that, it makes me think less of my brethren. And I can determine that they are not exhibiting self-control, nor are they exhibiting the fruit of the Spirit when they're out there. And so we can use social media for positive things. We can use it for service. We can use it to spread love and truth. But we also need to teach our children that while you can use it for good, and here's how to use it for good, you really need to make sure that you're building strong offline relationships. You need to make sure that you're spending time with people in a face-to-face interaction. Anna mentioned that she goes to the Apologetics Press Camp, and one of the things they have there is that it's a technology-free week. And at the beginning of the camp, they say, about them giving up their phones. Give up your phone. This is going to be the best week. It'll be way better without your phone. And gasp, right? Now, was it way better? Did you have fun? It is. Because they get to do something they've never done before. Like I get to interact face to face and spend time talking with somebody. Now I say never done before. There's a little tongue in cheek there, but you understand what I'm talking about is that the importance, as you're teaching your children, okay, those strong relationships start with the family first, with the parent and the child initially. And then the child to their friends after that. And that strong offline relationship that our children hear us and see us praying for them and trying to work with them. And as I'm protecting them, it's starting, like all of these things, it starts with the heart. And so when our children look back on their childhood, so I want you to think, let's fast forward, let's turn the time forward. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to say something my wife's going to say. If you turn the clock forward, and now you've moved ahead, and now your children are now adults, and they're reflecting back on their childhood. How do they think about mom and dad? What was mom and dad doing? Were they constantly on Facebook, or were they interacting with them? Were they outside throwing the ball with them and running around, or were they busy on their social media watching reels, doom scrolling for hours? And so, what will your children think of you when they think back about your interaction with them and your interaction with technology? Number 6, establish clear rules. Very clear do's and don'ts. Here's what is acceptable, here's what's not. Make sure it's known. Don't leave it up to them to figure this out. Make sure it's clearly known. So what does that mean with respect to the internet, with surfing the web? Where do you go? What things do you look at? What things do you don't? What things are out there? Like, let your children know what's out there so they know. And thinking about texting. Here are things that you do text. Here are things that you never text. Now, some of these things go without saying, I'll say, but should be said. Like, yeah, my child knows they should never send an inappropriate picture of themselves. Okay, have you ever said, don't send pictures of yourself that could potentially be inappropriate? Like, keeping them away from even that line, telling them? Sometimes your child needs to hear you say, don't do that, so they know exactly what to stay away from. I mean, they know it's wrong, but you've never really said don't do it. Don't do it. That's what we need to be able to tell and should be telling our children. And so, same thing with social media. What are these concerns? So, some of our rules. Okay, so these are some of Chad's rules. These are not necessarily, but like some of them are. As an example, I don't want phones up in bedrooms. I don't want phones up in bedrooms. Now, am I worried that my child is going to do something inappropriate? I tell you right now, nobody has better children than me. I have the best children out of everybody else. I don't care what your children are like. Mine are better, okay? It's so, but I have rules because I want to protect those children. I have rules because I want to protect them from somebody else, and I want to protect them from the temptation that might come to them. And they may think, well, I would never do that. I know you wouldn't, and I'm never going to give you the opportunity. Okay? It's no problem if you would never do it because you're never going to have the opportunity. I'm not going to do that. Now, at some point in time, your child's going to go away to college, and they're going to have a phone with them by themselves. So I've got to train them along the way. I've got to teach them along the way what to do. Don't bring your phone into the bathroom. It doesn't need to be in there. You know how many selfies I've seen on Instagram of girls in the bathroom after they've just dolled themselves up, giving the duck face in the mirror as they're taking that picture? Like, you've seen them, right? And so you see those pictures. Now, if a boy comes over to our house, which no boy has come over to our house, thankfully, okay? I'm going to try to keep it that way for a while. But let's say some boy, I'm not going to let some boy come over and visit my daughter and go into her bedroom. And certainly, like, it's not happening. No. And like, I don't even have to think twice about it. The answer is a solid, firm no. Why do I let it happen virtually? Why do you let it happen virtually? Because it's convenient? No. You know where I had to talk on the phone? If there was a girl that I fancied when I was in high school and I was on the phone with her, I wasn't on my cell phone down the street walking around hidden. No, I was tied by that physical cord to the wall, or or we were in next century, but we had the cordless phone. But I could only get so far away from the base station. So I was in the living room. So Mom and Dad could walk by at any point in time and hear my conversation and hear whether I'm saying anything inappropriate or not. Now, so there's guidance that's going on there. Now, the thing that I'll say is teenagers do not need to be on social media. Don't conflate that with should never get on any social media. They don't need to be on it. You don't need to be on it. I don't need to be on it, right? So at a certain age, so I talked about the middle school down, should not be on social media, but you think about that the environment, the rules that you set up in your household. So my kids know, okay, I'm not going to be in my room with my phone. That's not going to be okay. Now, I'm not going to be in the bathroom taking pictures of myself. These are things I'm not doing. Now, what if I go over to a friend's house or something like that? Well, these are the house rules. So a friend comes over to our house. You know what happens? So sometimes our girls will have some of their friends. They'll come over, and these girls will all have a sleepover, a slumber party, whatever you want to call it, all right? And so they'll be over. And those girls all have cell phones. And do you know where we ask their cell phones to be at night? We ask for their cell phones to be on the charger downstairs. Now, they can go downstairs if they need to make a phone call and call their parents or something along the lines. But our rules are you're not going to have that phone up there, so you're not having that phone up there. And it's understood. So the rules are the same. The rules stay the same. The next one is making sure you set limits on screen time and social media. Here's the deal. You are the parent. If every other parent let their kids smoke, would you let your kids smoke? No. Because you know the damage and the harm. If we understand and recognize the potential for harm, then what we're going to do, are you modeling the right behavior? Are you yourself addicted to YouTube and Instagram Reels? So I'm going to ask you now, here we are, in a session talking about setting time limits. I would like everyone to take their phone out, please. Everybody. Okay? Womp womp. Here we go. Okay? So for those of you who have Android, I'm going to tell you what to do. Apple folks, give me 1 second. I'll tell you what to do here. So Android, I want you to swipe down from the top, and you'll see a little gear icon in the top there. It's the gear settings. Okay, I want you to click that little gear settings icon. Okay. And as you do that gear settings icon, then I want you to scroll down, and you might have to search. It depends on which version that you're using. But you want to look for your digital well-being is what you're looking for. And yeah. So mine, it's about 3/4 of the way down. It says digital well-being and parental controls is what mine's called. Okay. Yeah. So you might have to do a search. So this is only if you're on Android. Okay. All my Android users, do you see the digital well-being? You see that? You don't see it? Okay. I'll just tell you, I've been on. No, you're not far enough. Okay, so scroll from the so let's do this. Let's come back here. Okay, down. Okay. And where's your set? There's your set. Oh, there's your settings right here. There's your settings. Now you got to go digital well-being. It depends. There it is right there. Digital well-being. Okay? All right. Give me one more. You didn't know this was going to be a, work on your cell phone class, okay? Yeah. Okay. All right, it's locked. You're going to have to unlock it. We got good security over here, so, okay. Password 1234. Okay. All right, let's see. There we go. There's your settings.
You're going to have me that number somewhere cut on the good stuff on the bad.
It's coming. This phone is, so digital well-being. Ooh, this is, get some big font on there. There you go. Okay, there's your digital, so click right there.
Yep. Okay.
There you go. Okay. All right, so now what I want you to do is, now for all of my iPhone users, which is the rest of you, here's what I need you to do. I need to read the instructions here, because I'm going to ask you to do something here. So for your Apple, I want you to go to Settings. Extra credit. So I want you to go to Settings. I want you to go to Screen Time after you've clicked on Settings. And I want you to look at the See All Activity. It's underneath the graph. So you'll press the little button under See All Activity. Now I want you to look at, and so I'll talk with both of you. Is everybody there? You all got that? Almost? Working on it?
So it's like the apps that we use and it shows us.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. And so today I look at mine, I'm like, man, I'm pretty good. I've spent 34 minutes watching a video. I've spent 13 minutes on social media, and I've been 7 minutes on that. So that's interesting. Oh, 7 minutes on, so in this instance, today I've spent 7 minutes in my Bible app and 6 minutes on Facebook. Not too bad. Okay? Now, that's just today, though. But if I go back, so on your Androids, up here, you've got this little chart that you can see all the days of how long you're on for. And Apple, it's underneath the graph there, see all activity. I want you to look at your most used apps. I want you to look at how many times you've picked up your phone. It's called pickups.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
How many times you, so, oh, there's a little chuckling over. How many times you picked up your phone, Anna? You don't want to say? Embarrassed, isn't it? I think that when you start to see how many times that you pick up your phone, how much time that you're on there, how many notifications. So how many hours have I spent on social media? It tells me how many minutes I've spent on Facebook, how many minutes I've spent on Instagram, how many minutes I've done messages, how many minutes I've spent in Chrome. My peak usage hours, here's all the times. This is all my total screen time and how much time I've spent all the way across the board. Your phone tells you that. What I would suggest to you is spend a few moments looking through that. Not during our class, because we're only down to a few more minutes, but I want to get you there so you can see it. I want you to do this for you, and I want you to do this for your children. And when you look at this and you see what is spending your time, are you monitoring that? Are you surprised with your own time? And so when you monitor it with your children, that's going to and help them what's a healthy time. The next one is, that was monitoring. Sorry, I was ahead of myself. So on monitoring, here's the deal on monitoring. You need to make sure that you have every single password of into every single app and every single device that your child has. What? What do you mean? You can't go there. That's not fair. That's like your child saying, I don't care if you see me, but do not go into my room, and whatever you do, do not look between the mattress and the box springs. You are not allowed to go look there. If your child said that to you, I can tell you right now, that'd be the first place I'd go and look. Because it's my house, and my job is to guide you and monitor you. And so your child needs to know that you are helping them and you're monitoring them. It should not be a surprise. And this monitoring should occur while everything is good, because if the first time you go to look at something is when your child is in trouble or you know they're doing something wrong, now you've made it even worse. You want to nip it in the bud. You want to get it beforehand. You want to get it early so you know what's going on, so that your children are aware that I'm reading your text messages. I'm looking at your Discord and your iMessages and your Instagram, and I'm doing these things. I told my children I told my parents whose house I was going to be at. Here in our instance, our children and we need to know what their passwords are and what apps, and inspect that. And you can control what apps are on their phone. You should know all of those apps, all of those accounts, and all of those passwords. And with that, you're like, well, how do I do that? Okay, well, some of it's just picking up their phone and talking with them and knowing what their code. Some of it is using some apps. So we're going to talk about some apps for we really only have 5 minutes left, but we're going to go until the food comes, because I didn't see Jason walk through with food. So is that correct? Is he coming with food? Is that what we're doing?
He's coming.
He's coming, okay. Okay. So the next one is, so when you look at iPhone, so here are some suggestions. This is where we get to the somewhat technical, a little technical. So on the iPhone, your iMessages are all synced under iCloud. So you can log in. So you can log into your device. So an old iPad, an old iPhone, something like that you might have, and you can log into that device with your child's username and password. And lo and behold, do you know what you see? Every iMessage that they send and receive. And they should know that. No surprise, no shock. I'm not sneaking on my kid. I'm telling them exactly what I'm doing. And they know exactly what I'm doing. And that helps them to know not to be tempted to go do something, because they know. You think about Achan in the Bible. Remember what he did? He stole the garment and the wedge of gold and silver. Remember? And he buried it in the tent so no one would see it. He didn't hide it out there for people to see. God saw. And so God knew exactly. And so if he would have known that someone was watching him, he wouldn't have done it. It's accountability. And so that's what I'm providing to my child. forward SMS or MMS text messages from your iPhone to other devices. There are other ways you can sit there and set up and watch, but I recommend that you log in with the same account on another device. That's what I recommend. The same thing for, well, we'll talk about Android in a second. Same thing for other apps. So whether it be Instagram, you know what we're going to do? We're both going to log on to Instagram on my device. So I see all your notifications and I see all of your direct messages. Nobody slide into your DMs and I don't know about it. And I can see what's in your feed. I can pull that thing up and just scroll through quickly to see, because you know what your feed's made up of? Whatever things you watch all the time. So I can see that app has actually helped me by you training it what things you like to see. Now I can just scroll through and see what it is that you like to see, and I can see what it's filled with. And if I see things in there that are troubling, you know what? I'm going to use that as an opportunity to go and talk with that child and go, hey, listen, I'm noticing that your Instagram feed is filled with these things. I don't know why that is. Okay, well, let's talk about some of those things, right? It gives us an opportunity to go and talk with them about some of those issues. On Android, I'll tell you, text messages are the hardest thing on Android. So this is one. So on Apple, iPhone to iPhone sends over iMessages. On Android, it's not as good. Android is harder. You have to use a Custodio or AirDroid or something along those lines to get it. My children are giving me this look because I tell them how Android is superior to Apple all the time. Here's an example where it's not. Okay. And so this is for parents to be able to monitor the text messages. So you know how I solve this problem? Right now, none of my children have an Android because they don't want them. But if they were to have an Android, I would do exactly what I would expect. Like right now, if Sabrina wants to see my phone, she can look at my phone anytime she wants to look at my phone. The only time I don't want her looking at my phone is right around Christmas time. That's the only time I don't want her looking at my phone. Outside of that, she can look at my phone anytime. She can look at any text message I have with anybody on my phone. Why? I got nothing to hide. And if I'm like, you don't need to be looking at my phone, then she better be looking at my phone. Okay, and that's the same thing with the child. So I'm going to pick that child's phone up and I'm going to scroll through and look at their text messages. And that first time I do it, it might make them a little uncomfortable. But when they know that that's happening all the time, it's no longer a big deal. I'm not overbearing about it. I'm just watching. I'm monitoring. I'm guarding. I'm providing accountability. That's what I'm doing. And so if they know what's going on and they know that you're helping them, it's no surprise. Okay, Discord. Discord is that chat group. That website right there will tell you on Discord how to set up that stuff, but you can log into Discord on your phone. So one of my daughters uses Discord. I have Discord with her sign on my phone. So I pull up Discord and I can see all the people that are messaging back and forth on Discord. I can see all the same group things she sees. I see all the conversation that's going on with her. That was a good sight right there we just saw. And so we can see all that. Instagram. You can log into Instagram on your phone. So you have the same Instagram like I was talking about. And there's also a bunch of controls that help them stay away. Snapchat. Here's the problem with Snapchat. It does not permit multi-device logins. It doesn't. Now, if you have an Android device, you can go get that with AirDroid parental control. So this one, either on iPhone or Android, unless you use the AirDroid, you cannot get in there and see their Snapchats as easy. Now, a lot of these apps have self-destructing messages. So I can send you a text message, and maybe it's an inappropriate picture, and I can say it's going to set to expire in 13 seconds. And so you only get 13 seconds of gawking, and then it goes away, and I feel like I'm safe and sound. Sure, nobody could ever take a screenshot because it's been disabled. Okay, or I could just take another camera and take a picture of my phone, and now I have the very same picture. Oh, I didn't think about that. And so these are things that we need to make sure that we're training our children. So number 9, parental controls. This is key. This is where Android is far superior to Apple. Apple has had a bug now going on for 2 years where the parent control over the child's phone, it disconnects and it breaks. And so you can't then manage their phone because I actually thought, I'm like, is my daughter disconnecting me? Is that what's going on here? And she's like, I'm not doing anything. And I believed her. But I'm like, why is this happening? Well, it's happening because it was breaking. So Apple Screen Time is a great place, and it will let you can do all sorts of things. So I will say, no matter what controls you employ, Your child can bypass those controls if they try hard enough. I'm telling you, like Instagram. Oh, I don't want them to know about it. So instead of having the regular Instagram, I'll just create a fake Instagram called Finstagram, right? And so that's what they call it. It's a Finstagram account. So I create my own, and I go communicate on that one. So you can only see the good account, and then I have the hidden bad account. Like, your children can get around it. They can go buy a burner phone at Walmart for $50. And then install whatever app they want on there all they want. And you don't know about it. You have to, that's where this guides, that's where this trusts. So these are, what I'll say is parental controls, I want you to view them, they're not guardrails. They're curbs. So a curb is a bump that keeps you away from the ditch a little bit, but I can easily go right over that curb right into the ditch. And that's exactly what can happen with technology. And so if you're looking at, for instance, Apple screen time, like you're setting time limits. So you can say, hey, I don't want you to use your phone more than this much. I want you to block these apps. I only want you to let the good apps. So it does a good job at that. You can do content and privacy restrictions. You can let them only go to certain websites where they have to ask your approval before they go to any website. Or you can let Apple filter by category. Filtering by category is not a very good thing. Whitelisting is the way to go. A lot more cumbersome on you. Guarantees there's zero porn on there. And then I was talking about some of this on Google Family Link. That's how you do the Android. It works really good on Android. It also works on Chromebooks, and it does a better job of web filtering, a better job of content restrictions. It has better remote device management, but it's a little more complex to use because it has more features and functionalities. And I'll give you a link here at the end that you can go read all you want how to use it. Okay? Because I would spend 45 minutes just touching the hem of the garment here. And so next is, now that the food's here, I'm going to move through quickly for the last 4 or 5 slides. I can provide these links. Some of this might be a little hard for you to see. I can provide these links to Daniel. But as you're looking at the screen time and the communication limits and all these things, that was what I was talking about. There's a website called protectyoungeyes.com. And they give you, here's how you set up parental controls on Apple. And it gives you a step-by-step instruction. And they're telling you, screen by screen, what to do. On Android, so these are some of the other things here. So on screen time, you can look at all those things. Those app limits, the content restrictions, how long they can spend in each app. Like, I let them spend all the time they want in the Bible app, but I'm only going to let them spend 30 minutes on Instagram. The account settings, devices, you can see how much battery power they have. On the Android side, these are all the things you can do. You can see the location of the device, which you can also do on Apple. But there's all these controls that help you. These are tools that equip you to help monitor and manage your child out there. But here's the deal. They're only curbs that help your children stay away from the ditch. They don't keep them out of the ditch. They can run right over them. And so parental controls do not replace parents. Nothing replaces the parent. Parental controls merely will help just a little bit. And number 10, software and hardware. There are lots of software and hardware solutions out there, and here are some of them. So Bark is one that helps monitor social media. Custodio is a similar one. NetNanny. On the hardware side, you can use a couple different pieces of equipment, including a router. Gryphon has a good one. Google Wi-Fi. They let you set up controls to filter things. There's a couple websites here that you can use for DNS filtering. That's kind of an advanced solution to keep kids from going places. All of these, everything's bypassable. We're just providing curbs and alerts, trying to help keep the children. So like sometimes you'll say, oh, what about Covenant Eyes? What about Covenant Eyes? Well, Covenant Eyes is a great solution if you want to be monitored, if you want to be watched. If you don't want to be watched, it's easy to get around. It's just those kinds of things. So protectyoungeyes.com, internetmatters.org, those are great websites. So here's kind of the great summation of my 10 points with the 2 websites there at the bottom. And so now I will only keep you as long as you have questions because the food is approaching ready. It's not quite yet. So I saw a hand somewhere. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask a question. When my grandkids come over, we cut the Wi-Fi off. Well, don't cut it off. We basically we could set where certain phones don't have Wi-Fi access after a certain time.
Okay?
Then I realized, oh, wait a minute, they have data.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So then it's, okay, take the phones away, and so they can't go upstairs with the phones and that kind of stuff. But then I realized, oh, they got tablets, or a little game thing, right? Which they are on the.
Sure.
So it's a never-ending battle.
It is. And so it really becomes, if you have an adversarial relationship, this game of whack-a-mole, I'm telling you, unless you are really, really sophisticated, your child will figure out a way around you. So that's why you have to be viewed as a partner, guiding them and helping them along the way, and not, I'm sticking it to them. Like that they realize I'm working together with you to help you get to heaven, and they want to.
That's right. That's a crazy question. Do you think technology is going to get worse than what it is now?
So,
years to come?
Here's what I'll say. The question was, do I think technology is going to get worse in the years to come? I'll tell you, technology will get more advanced, and what will happen is both the good and the bad will leverage it. And so technology is nothing more than an amplifier. It just amplifies. So all it is amplifying the worst of the worst, and it can also amplify the best of the best if we are actually putting that out there. That's what technology is and how it does. So will it get worse? Yep. Will it get better? Yep. It'll do both, is what I think will happen. Other questions? Not everybody at once? Is food almost ready? Do you want me to stall? Do you want me to give them a break?
Let Daniel say a few words.
Okay.
Long-winded preacher. He'll
Okay. Okay. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.
If Daniel could do the blessing for the food, though, I was going to ask for that.
There we go.
When you get done.
We'd like to thank Chad for all his hard work and research and all the things that he put into these lessons. So many good thoughts to think about and trying to help our kids. And whether you have children that are middle school, elementary school, high school, and I was thinking about my 19-year-old and however old the other one is, 21. So, but still, in our house, the guardrails and the importance of that, and preparing the child for the path, how essential it is. So thank you, Chad, so much for all that good information, good websites. If you want the PowerPoints, let me know. We'll be happy to get those to you. Chad put a lot of time and research notes in those as well, stuff that you didn't see. Dave?
We'll also have these on YouTube, and probably set up a playlist if you want.
Okay. Yeah, these will be on YouTube, Facebook too, I think. They'll be streamed to both of those. So if you
haven't used your time limit yet on YouTube, you can look.
Yeah, there you go. If you haven't used all your time on your phone yet. But I think it's important, isn't it, that we stop and look, how much am I on my phone, and how has it changed our lives? And I look at the difference in kind of fragmented distraction. I said, Chad, to one of the breaks, texting and YouTube, a little bit of time on Facebook, but those things I think are probably, if I were to rank my distractions from devices, probably texting, messaging, some of a little of each of those, but it can take us away from really focusing in on things, and it can play into spiritual demise, right? If the algorithms, feed into pessimism, negativity, languishing, depression, anxiety, that can play a role in our spiritual demise. So, all right, I'm going to say a prayer. And again, thank you all for coming out this morning, and appreciate all of you taking time out of your Saturday to be here and to think about these important things. Share these with other people. There'll be a YouTube playlist. Let other folks know about this. There are people across the brotherhood that could benefit from Chad's expertise in these areas. So without further ado, let's offer praise to God. Holy God, we're so thankful for the chance to come this morning and to open up our hearts to thinking about our place in this world and the things that might draw us away for evil. And we're also mindful, Father, of the good that can come about from technology. We pray, Father, that we'll be people that are balanced, that we'll be people that are self-controlled, that we'll be people that will help our children and grandchildren and friends and loved ones and neighbors to see the goodness of God and you. And we're so thankful for Chad and Sabrina and their family that made this trip up from Florida. We pray, Father, that you'll bless them as they continue to serve you and serve the brotherhood in so many dynamic ways. We're thankful, Father, for the food. Thankful for Jason who prepared it and all of the things that have gone in to this weekend. We're thankful for the work of Damien and the elders and Connie and so many others who had a role in allowing this to happen today. We pray, Father, that you'll bless our work beyond today. We ask, Father, that you'll bless this food to our bodies. We're thankful for Jason preparing it for us and our bodies to your glory. In Christ we pray. Amen.